It is cut down day in the NFL. There are 5 things I think the Jets could do potentially today to improve their team. One big potential move, and then 4 other really small, pragmatic, prototypical cut down day type of moves for the Jets. So, number one, Jakobi Meyers has requested a trade from the Raiders, and we have reporting. All the NFL insiders keep saying the Jets are scouring the wide receiver market for potential trade options. Sometimes teams do that as PR. They can tell their fans, hey, we tried, right? That does happen. I'm not saying that's happening with the Jets, but it could be that. But if Myers is the best guy who we know is available for trade and the Jets are scouring the market, let's talk about him. Now, everything the Jets have done this offseason, I still don't think they're going to be in the market for a soon-to-be 29-year-old receiver who would cost a decent amount of draft capital and a contract extension, right? Because you have to remedy the contract dispute if you're going to agree to a trade. Otherwise, you have what's known as a Hassan Reddick. We don't want that. But I'll tell you what, man, Myers is awesome. He's one of my favorite receivers in the NFL. I think he might be the most underrated receiver in the NFL. He has phenomenal hands. He did not drop a pass last year. 1,000-yard receiver not dropping one pass is pretty incredible. He's never had more than 3 drops in a season. He's had, 4 straight seasons of at least 800 yards. He's played in at least 15 games every year of his career. He's going to be 29 in November. So you're talking about you could still give him an extension and cut with it in his age 31 season before you get to that cliff. So there's stuff to like, and he really improves the wide receiver room. Obviously, then he's a clear and cut number 2. And then all of a sudden, hey, man, then Josh Reynolds, Arian Smith is your 3 and 4. And then you got Mason Taylor is like your 3rd or 4th pass catching option. And it puts all the guys who are kind of punching one spot above their weight in the pass catching room. If we're being honest, it kind of slots them all perfectly fine. So I don't know if the juice will be worth the squeeze with the Jets. You cannot part with your 2nd round pick. Under no circumstances can the Jets trade their 2nd round pick next year for any receiver who could be available. It's too valuable. But with Myers, maybe you could package up a couple mid-rounders spaced out over a couple years and pay the money, and it's worth a phone call. I'll say that about him. He is worth a phone call. Number 2, now let's get into more like just smaller moves that the Jets will make some of these. If they don't make a big trade, we will see a couple of these. Brennan Jackson, who's an edge, who was just waived by the LA Rams. He was a 5th-round pick in 2024, and he didn't do a whole lot of anything in his rookie season, but he led the entire preseason in sacks. So, okay, a kid who's 24, who was a 5th-round pick, has that size profile Aaron Glenn likes, 6'5", 265, who lit it up in the preseason and is being cut by one of the deeper edge rooms in the NFL. That's why the Jets went and called up Minnesota, and they called up Cleveland, 2 of the deeper defensive tackle rooms in the league. Let's go get guys that maybe aren't good enough to make your team. I don't know if the Jets have 5 edge players better than Brennan Jackson, and I think it's definitely worth checking him out. Watch that film. Were those sacks just fluky sacks? Because again, I don't think the Jets are going to do the Jadeveon Clowney or Zadarius Smith, but that is a room where I do think there will be players available who are better than whoever the Jets' 4th or 5th guy is. Maybe that guy could be Brennan Jackson. Number 3, Dan Skipper, offensive tackle. He was just released by the Detroit Lions. Now, you wouldn't have to put in a waiver claim for him because he's a vested veteran. And he's 30 years old, and he's played left tackle, right tackle, left guard. He's in a backup lineman for the Detroit Lions last 4 years, and he's played special teams. Now, it could be a Derek Nottie situation. Like, hey, man, this good team is deciding this cheap veteran is no longer worth it. It could be that. But I'm looking at just keeping in mind the bar for improvement is Max Mitchell. And I've seen Max Mitchell. Now maybe he could have improved, and the Keith Carter is no longer here. But anytime I've seen Max Mitchell enter a game for the Jets, he almost single-handedly makes it impossible for the offense to function. So if Skipper has been trusted to be the Lions swing tackle the past couple of years, and he's got multiple positional versatility, because that's the appeal to Mitchell. Mitchell can play both tackle spots and guard. Skipper can do that. He's played specials. Obviously, the Jets coaching staff will be familiar with him, so maybe it's worth it there. Also pointing out that Turner on the Jets offensive staff was in Vegas, so maybe he knows Myers, right? Because that's how they got Harrison Phillips, the defensive line coach for the Jets. He used to work on the Bills defensive staff. So you got to look for those connections. Number 4, again, not everything's going to be sexy, man. I think the Jets should consider, you know, calling up Snoop Huntley and putting him on the practice squad, quarterback, or even putting Adrian Martinez. If you're an Adrian Martinez fan, put him and Cook on the practice squad, because they're not going to keep a third quarterback on the 53-man roster. You don't waste a 53-man roster spot on Snoop Huntley. But I think that there's, look, the Jets, we've seen Jets seasons. Most of them, they're playing 3-4 quarterbacks. And Justin Fields, I wouldn't call him injury prone, but he is going to run a lot, and that's going to make him more susceptible to hits. And now with the new concussion rules, you get up a little woozy and you got to go out and you can't come back in the game. And then Tyrod Taylor couldn't even make it through camp without getting injured. So I would say that the Jets are more likely than most teams to have to play a third quarterback. It's still unlikely. It's less than 50%, I would say, but more than most teams, their third quarterback is going to matter. And Brady Cook, they see some developmental potential in him. Okay. But if you're throwing rookie Brady Cook out there, in my opinion, like, you're probably just signing up for a loss. So keep Brady Cook on the practice squad and keep Snoop Huntley there too. I don't care. There's 16, 17 practice squad spots with the international exemption. Quarterback is the most important position. Have one break glass of emergency veteran on there, and Snoop Huntley, who can complete 65% of his passes and rushes for 45 yards a game. And when he played 5 games for the Dolphins last year, they went 2-3 and they survived. He kept them in the hunt. He went 2-3. I don't think you're going 2-3 with Brady Cook. So I'd call up Snoop Huntley, keep him on the practice squad if he's willing to do it. And then number 5 is there any other players that we can get draft capital for? Players who are not going to make the Jets, who other teams might be interested in. One of Skinner or Brandon Smith, Donovan Edwards, Jer Bernard Converse, allegedly Carter Warren, according to Jeremy Fowler. So is there one more 7-6 round pick swap we can get? Because if there's a player you can cut, you might as well shop him. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk all soon.